Okay, so this is the video where we review this final assignment, the doghouse. I'm going to start from beginning to end, and I want you to make sure that you're completed with yours before you view this video. And I encourage you that unless you got everything correct, I'd encourage you to do it again. To make sure that you've got these principles. What's covered in this one assignment is pretty much everything you need to know for the basics of getting things done in AutoCAD, right? A little bit of drafting, but mostly manipulation of text and dimensions and sheets, printing, etc. So here we go. I'm going to set this aside, and I'll do this fairly quickly. But that's the beauty of video. You can stop it, play it again. So I'm going to start with my elevation sheet, do a save as, and I'll call this, I've already started one here. I'm going to call it Doghouse 2 in this case because I've done it already. And I'm going to clean things up a little bit here. Well, maybe the first thing I'll do is change the sheet layout from 11 by 17 to 8.5 by 11. So I go to print, page setup, and I'm going to create a new page setup, and I'm going to call it letter portrait, describing the sheet of paper that it will end up on. Okay, Adobe PDF is my printer. I always do that first. Paper size, letter. Of course, you can choose a plotter that you have in your house or at the office, but in this case I want you to send me the PDF, so you have to create a PDF of it. Okay, letter size, layout is what we want to print out. That'll print out whatever's on that piece of paper. Plot scale is 1:1. When you print from Paperspace, it is 1:1 because the scale of the drawing is set by the viewport, not when you print it. Okay, monochrome is the plot style table that we'll use, and portrait, we're changing landscape to portrait here. When we hit OK and then set current, our drawing changes. Now that white piece of paper is over here, which makes sense. It used to be 11 by 17, now it's 8.5 by 11. Right? I'm going to get rid of most of this stuff here. I'm going to keep a little text here. I really don't need this in here, but what I might do is I'll use the border that I already have here. Oh, one thing I should have kept is the viewport. That would have been handy, but too late. Okay, so I'm getting as close to that line as I can. I don't want to get too close to it though. Actually, that's a good point. I don't want to get too close to the line because my printer, my physical printer, might have slightly different margins. So I don't want to get so close to it that it looks good on the PDF, but when I print it, the border doesn't show up. So I'm going to give it some breathing room there. Okay, now I'll go to the, that's right, all of these layers in here already, these are layers that I don't need anymore. This is part of the XREF. So let me first put this. For some reason, it's always putting the command line as a floating command line. So I'm going to go to model space. I need to clean this up before I start my drawing. Just going to erase everything here. And notice one thing I erased was the XREF, but that's not enough just to erase it. You have to go to your view toolbar, not there, insert toolbar, and this little button on the reference sub toolbar will bring up your external reference manager. So you go to the Insert tab, and then the Reference Toolbar. In the lower right hand corner there's a little arrow, and that brings up the External Reference Toolbar. Now this was the extract that was in the drawing, so erasing it is not enough. As you can see, I erased it, but it's still here. It's still part of this drawing. So I want to right click on it and detach it from this drawing. Alright, then I can close this. Going back to the Home tab, you'll see most of the layers we want. That's good. I will change one thing actually. I'll go to Layer Properties. Instead of this outline, I'm just going to call this layer is called Outline. I'm going to call it Line Weight 0.5 just to be consistent with the other layers there. Might as well make it current because I'm going to use that probably first. Okay, next. Oh yes, the viewport. I am going to go back to the tab, right click on that tab and rename it Dog House, and I'll go in here. I'll create the viewport, so that's going to be on the depth points layer. And I go to View. Oh, that's right. I keep doing this. It's not here for some reason, so I'm going to, or actually it's just grayed out. So I'm just going to type in viewports. Click on Single and OK. And I'll create a little viewport here. And that's, you can see the dots in there. I'll come back and arrange it once my drawing is done. But one thing I do know is that I need to have my drawing very close. My two drawings, my plan and my elevation, very close to one another so they fit on the piece of paper. So now I go to Model Space. And I'm going to make Line Weight 0.50 the current layer. So I'm following my plan here. I'm going to draw the plan first. The inside radius of the wall is 1'8". So I'm going to start the circle anywhere and then type in 1'8" as my radius. Alright, and then I'm going to, I could draw another circle of radius 2, or I could just offset that first one 4 inches. And then the next one's 2'6", so I can offset this one 6. Alright. This line is on the wrong layer, so I highlight it and put it on the dash layer. Next, the opening is 2 feet wide. So I'm going to start with the center line, starting in the middle of the circle, and offset 12 inches to the right, 12 to the left. And then the trim command, trim, here are the cutting edges. There we go, that's done. Now I need to hatch what's in there, so I'll make that a very thin line, 0.09. I'm going to go to the hatch command and look for the pattern. There it is, ANSI 137, or ANSI 37 I should say. And I'll click in here. It's very dense, and usually for some reason doesn't allow us to change that. Oh, it did. Okay, good. So 11 maybe. 11 looks good. Maybe 22. Let's see what 22 looks like. No. 11 is good. All right, that's fine. Then I hit enter. Okay, that's it. Oh, that's not it for the plan. Now I need to do this one line here to continue the circle and then a dashed line here. I'm going to do that with arcs, but I can't do this arc, right? Because I don't know where that point is. That's not right. So I have to use the start, center, end method. Start of this arc. Actually, I'm going to do the outside one. Start of this arc is here. The center of the arc is the center of the circle, and the end is here. So that's a perfect arc with the same center as the rest of the circle. Then inside, that's going to be a dashed line, arc, start, center, end. There we go. So that is done. Next, I'll just keep the dashed line on. I can draw these. These are my guidelines. Right? This shows me where everything needs to be because I'm going to project all the elements of the plan down into the elevation. So I'm going to make line weight 50, the current layer. I'm going to draw a ground line about here. All right. Now, since this is an elevation, the rest of it, I'm going to go a little slightly narrower, or the line weight will be slightly lighter, so I'm going to use line weight 0.3, and I'm going to draw, let's see, the bottom part of this of the doghouse is a cylinder. It's a concrete cylinder, and then it's topped with a sheet metal conical roof. The cylinder portion is 2'3", so I can start a line, hold my cursor here. This is the line that's indicating the width of the cylinder right here. I start here, drag up 2'3", that's 27 inches. Wait a second. Start here, 27, there we go. And that's my line here. Actually, I could have drawn that line, I need it anyway, right? I'm going to use the extend command to extend that out, the roof. Should have drawn one more guideline here, that's the center. The height of the conical roof is 2 feet, so I'm going to offset 24 here. Now I have my points. This is the end of the roof, peak of the roof. So I draw my line here and here. And I get rid of my guidelines. That's the conical roof. Now you see how far away I am from the plan because I didn't know exactly where I'd end up. So I'm going to use the stretch command and get it very close. That's good. Okay, next I want to draw the doorway. And the doorway, I'm going to copy this 2 feet up. That's the height of the door. I'm going to use that little trick with the fillet command. Fillet 2 parallel lines, and I get this half circle. I'm going to use that half circle. I'm going to bring it straight down to that point. Oops, somehow it skipped over. Okay, let me do that again. I'm going to move this. That looks better. So now I use the trim command here and here. Oh, trim command here. Erase my guideline and then use match properties to make this opening on the proper layer. Great. So that's it for the drawing itself. Now it's just text and dimensions. So let's see, if I wanted to put a dimension on there, text dim layer, I would, let's see, use a linear dimension. There. Actually, it looks, well, no, even looking at it, if you look at the sample, the text is way too big. And of course, that's because this was, this is a dimension style for a different scale drawing. If I click on it and go to properties, right click, go to properties, I see that that's a dim style for 1/2 inch dim. But this drawing, as the sample says, is scale 1 inch equals a foot. So let's change that. Let's go to annotation, go to layer style manager, and I'm going to click on New. And here I'm going to do a 1 dim. So that to me means a 1 inch scale dim. I'm going to start with 1/2 inch dim and just hit continue. And now I could go through all of these items, but I know that I only have to do one thing. Go to the Fit tab and change 24 to the overall scale factor for 1 inch equals a foot. And here's where I use my text height chart. 1 inch equals a foot is this column, and the scale factor is here, comes across 12. And that should make sense to you. The scale factor is the ratio of this scale, of this standard scale. How many times are you shrinking something? Well, if 1 inch equals a foot, that's a 1 to 12 ratio. So that's a 12 scale factor. So I'm going to change 24 to 12 and hit OK. That's the only thing I need to do. Set current, close. Now I can, on the text dim layer, put my dimensions. Much better. Okay, I have another one here. You want to keep that gap there, remember. Let's see. We've got the height of the door. Sometimes I cheat a little bit when I'm dimensioning to a curve, because even though the origin is here, you might not see that gap enough, so I might bring it back a little, maybe a little more, so that you can see a gap. Okay, now a couple more. Oh, we need some dimensions on the plan. We have the opening here, and then we have some radius dimensions. So I'm going to click here, place one there, radius dimension here. Wherever you click, that's where the arrowhead goes. Another one here. Oops, out here rather. There. Now they all have the tick mark at the end, so I'm going to highlight these, go to properties, and I'm going to change the arrow from architectural tick to closed fill. There we go. Okay, now same thing as the multi-liter style is currently set at 1/2 inch scale. So if I were to do a multi-liter, it would be very big. So I need to create a new multi-liter style. So I click on the annotation bar, go to my multi-liter style manager, click on new. I'm going to create a new one called 1 ml, 1 inch scale multi-liter. And again, the only thing I have to change here is the overall scale factor from 24 to 12. Set current and close. Now create a liter. Sheet metal conical roof. Set the margins here. There we go. And I often just do this where I just copy it once I make it. Cylindrical, or actually concrete cylindrical base. There we go. Gotta line these up a little. Okay. All right. I like this over here. There we go. Okay, now let's make sure that's aligned. It's not the easiest thing in the world sometimes to get these things to work the way you want them to. All right, so that's it. We're done with this drawing. Now we go to Paperspace, and as luck would have it, a portion of the drawing is in this viewport. If it wasn't, we would just double click in here and do a zoom all, and that would get pretty close. Or even better, zoom extent, Z enter, E enter, Z enter, E enter, and it would zoom so and show everything that we have drawn. Now that doesn't mean it's to the proper scale. I'm going to click on it again and go down below and choose my scale, which is 1 inch equals a foot. And it shrunk it just a little bit, so we're actually pretty good. It made it just big enough. All right, so that's it. I'm going to move this viewport just a little bit higher to provide some room down below for my text. Oops, that's going to be on the title block border layer. I'm going to come up from here, let's say 1/2 inch. And then go back to the text dim layer, and the text we have here is looks like it's 1/8 inch high. So I'm going to click on text, start it here, type in H, enter 1/8 inch, and it'll be dog, house, floor plan, and elevation. Whoops. There. We could center it. I usually don't bother making text perfect in terms of like centering it exactly right. The eye does a pretty good job of that. Depends on, you know, how intricate it has to be. Then this will be scale. 1 inch equals 1 foot. And while I'm at it, I'm going to highlight it and change it from 1/8 inch scale to 1/8 inch high to 3/32. And then one more copy here. Alphonse Diaz, and then the date. Okay. Save this. It should be done. Let's do a test preview. Since this is already arranged, you shouldn't have to make any changes to this. Just hit preview, and there it is. Looks pretty good. Good line weight variation. All right, that's it. Then you hit plot, right click plot, and you can create the PDF, and you'd be done. I hope that you were able to do this without too much trouble. As with all things, as I've said before, just repetition and practice will get you there. And there's nothing better than having a job and a deadline to get those lessons seared into your head. So good luck. I hope you do well on this.